Morning, everyone. Chapter 22. Oh, it's really dark. Let's try again. Hold on. All right, that's a little bit better. Now you can see my little fireplace back there, trying to warm up. This is my craft room, and it doesn't have any heat. So I have this little wall propane heater so that I can try to use this room. But it's one of my favorites in the whole house. That's why I thought I would work from here. All right, chapter 22. So it is election day. The parade is starting, and the band comes first, and then the military. And there's a lot of description given to the military and how they look and whatever. And I don't care about any of that for today's purposes. Then come the ministers, including Dimsdale, and he's different. He is not the feeble-stepped minister that the town is used to seeing. He's got this energy, but it's very evident that he's in a world of his own. It's some people say that he's caught up into the music and the pomp and circumstance of the parade, and others say no, he is so in tune with God as he prepares to give this sermon that he is just in another world. He's in a spiritual world, and there's one sentence that I don't know if you caught it or not, but it said something that this is how it is with the people who are sick, people who are dying, that they kind of rally and put all of their energy of multiple days into one day. And yeah, and that's really a true thing. I mean, if you know somebody who is preparing to die, who's very sick, usually they will rally and be better for, you know, sometimes even a week, and you'll think, oh, they're getting better, and then all of a sudden they'll die. So that's what that sentence was talking about. But he just has this strange energy, and Hester notices it. And actually, it makes her very upset because he seems like he is off in a different world, and it's a world where she can't seem to reach him. She needs one glance. She needs to be able to just have him give her one look to show her that he is still in with the plan, that they do have this connection. Um, she's even to the point where she's like, did I dream it? Did I dream that whole meeting in the forest? Did I dream that we have this plan? And she's really upset that he's able to remove himself from the situation that they're in. Now, remember, she has just been confronted by the captain, who has told her that Chillingworth has booked passage, so she's kind of freaking out on her own. So that's part of this. But even Pearl notices that there's a difference in Dimsdale, and she says, is this the same minister who kissed me by the brook? And Hester reprimands her and says, don't talk about things that happen in the forest. And of course, at that point, the mention of the forest and the mention of making choices between good and evil, who's going to show up? But Mistress Hibbins. To prove to me that you watched today's video, I would like you to tell me that you today saw my favorite coffee cup. And it has flowers, and it has this little design, and it's got teal on the inside, and there's my coffee in there. Okay, so that's the keywords for today. Send me an email with the keywords of beautiful coffee mug. You didn't know it, but I have a secret obsession for coffee mugs. Pretty ones. Okay, so send me that for your participation points. So Pearl notices it. She reprimands her, and then Mistress Hibbins shows up. And the thing is Hester always has this circle around her that is empty, where nobody comes into her circle. Everybody kind of stays away from her, but Mistress Hibbins. So as she comes in, everybody's like, and they really move out of the way, because no one talks to Hester in public. But Mistress Hibbins doesn't care. She does what she wants. And she started talking to Hester about knowing about the meeting in the forest. Oh, doesn't he look different than he did? Is this the same minister that you encountered on the forest path? And how does she know this? I don't know. Was she there? Did she actually see them? Is she a witch? Is she in with the devil? those are all questions that you're supposed to be kind of freaked out about how she even knows this. Um, Hester denies it. Surely I don't know what you're talking about. And of course, I'm not going to speak ill of our wonderful pastor. And Hibbins continues, and she says, "Oh, I wonder why he always holds his hand over his heart. Do you know, Hester?" And this is when Pearl jumps in. She's like, "No, do you know? Do you know? Have you seen it?" And Hibbins says to her, "It doesn't matter. You'll see it someday." Um, and she references the fact that Pearl is considered to be the child of the devil. And she says, "Do you want to come and ride in the forest with me?" And then she cackles and walks away. So, yeah, she's creepy. At this point, Dimsdale has started to preach, and the meeting house is so full of people that they're actually like outside the meeting house just trying to be able to hear his voice. Hester goes over there and she also stands outside, but did you notice where she's standing? She is at the foot of the scaffolding. Does that matter? Is that supposed to mean something? Yeah, it really is. I mean, you're supposed to get the idea that um, here she is, they're within hours of escaping on this ship. She is standing there listening to Dimsdale with different ears than any other time. Um, she has permitted herself to love him, make a plan, be ready to escape with him. Um, so she's listening to him differently today, knowing what they're about to do. But where does she listen? Right at the foot of the scaffolding. Um, they talk a lot about Dimsdale and his preaching and how even though you can't understand the words when you're standing outside, you can still get the low undertones and the sweetness and the power. And the volume enveloped her with an atmosphere of awe and solemn grandeur. Those are all, very evocative words that are supposed to make you understand and almost hear his voice, ebbing and flowing and being beautiful and powerful and then sweet. And she can just feel the passion in his voice. And she is mesmerized by it. She is like a statue at the foot of the scaffold. Pearl, however, displays her restfulness of spirit. On page 167, it talks about how she's just, again, this is like the third time in the last 3 chapters that she's been referenced to as a bird, that she's flitting around, that she takes flight, that she lands, different things like that. So you've got some great description of how she's supposed to be moving around. She's just kind of running through the marketplace, and the people are watching her and they're smiling because she's cute. She is, and she's naughty, and she does things that she shouldn't do. And there's, and watching her. So the people outside are watching her as she does these things, and she's brave. She does not have those what do you call them? Preconceived ideas of what's proper and what's not proper. So she runs up to, on page 167, she runs right up to the Indians. Now they're painted up, they're feathered up, they've got their they're dressed for war because war was also a ceremony to them, and they have come into town for this ceremony. And so that's how they look. I mean, they're pretty scary looking because they look like they're ready to go into battle. And Pearl's not afraid. She runs right up to him, and it said she looked a wild Indian in the face, and he looked back and saw a nature wilder than his own. The Indians were supposed to be wild, savage men, and here he looks at this little girl, and she has a nature that is wilder than his. Then she runs into the group of sailors, and they try to catch her. I mean, she's cute as can be, and she's just bouncing around all over the place. And they try to catch her like a game. It says the captain tried to give her a kiss. That wasn't. It's not supposed to be anything creepy. In this time period, it was, that's what you did. You gave a kiss to a child, top of the head, that kind of thing. Like, we're not talking sex trafficking or anything here. So the captain tries to catch her like a bird, like a hummingbird is how it described, because, comparing his size to her size and how quick she is. And he can't catch her. And so he takes a gold chain off of his hat and he throws it to her. And Pearl picks it up and she twists it around her neck and around her waist. And it just seems to belong there. Once she puts it on, it's like you can't remember her without it. And then he says, hey, give your mother a message, would you? She's the one that wears the scarlet letter. Give her a message. Tell her I spoke with Chillingworth again. And he said to let you know that he will be in charge of bringing Dimmesdale to the ship. So all she has to worry about is you and herself. That's another complication. It's not even like they can get away from Chillingworth in any way, because now the captain is expecting him to come with Dimmesdale. If Dimmesdale comes without him, the captain's not going to set sail until they've got Chillingworth. So it's not like they can just, hide and escape and board early and hide on the ship or something like that. Chillingworth is not going to let Dimmesdale out of his sight. When Pearl goes and tells Hester that, she immediately feels doom. Just when they had their way out of this not miserable life, but this life of misery, just when they had a way to escape, everything's falling apart. And it's all because of Chillingworth. So as she's standing there feeling this impending doom and listening to Dimmesdale's voice, all of a sudden the country people who have come in for the election day parade and stuff, the country people start to kind of gather around her, still leaving a distance, but they gather around because they've heard about the Scarlet Letter, but they've never seen it. And so they're like, oh, there it is. And it has even more mystery, more power to it, because it's such a mystery, because it's such a fairy tale, of fable, and a rumor, stuff that's been talked about but never actually seen, that now they're like, oh, there it is. And so everyone starts gathering around. And when this happens, then the sailors are like, what are they looking at? And when they hear the story of the Scarlet Letter, they're like, oh, so they circle around. And then the Indians kind of catch on and they see it and they're like, oh, and so they circle around. And at this point, even the townspeople who have been used to the Scarlet Letter, they are kind of in a new awe of it. And they gather around and are staring at Hester. And as Hester looks out at the crowd, she even sees and recognizes the women that were there on her first day when she stood on the scaffolding. Remember those women that I had the girls act out in class when they were like, oh, they should have branded it on her forehead, and she should have been put to death. And those women, they're out in the crowd judging her again. So it's kind of like a second judgment day for Hester as she stands at the foot of the scaffolding, listening to Dimmesdale give this powerful sermon with plans to escape in her mind. All right, so it has drawn all this attention. I like one of the lines that it says, now in the last hour before she's going to fling the letter aside, this last hour, it's getting this new attention. And then the very end of the chapter says, who could imagine the woman of the Scarlet Letter and the sainted minister both had the same scorching stigma at this very moment? They're out there standing there looking at Hester as this sinful woman, hearing Dimmesdale as the sainted minister, never guessing that the two of them both have the Scarlet Letter. Your homework is to read chapter 23 for tomorrow. I'll see you then. Have a great day.